Thank you.
So thank you so much. Firstly, I want to say thank you so much for organizing the event and also for inviting me. And also thank you to the previous speakers that we had. They gave me some really, really good ideas. And I'm also going to relay some of my points towards that, if that's okay. So I'm just going to share my screen right now. Just a second. There you go. Good. I believe that's it. So you should see the presentation. So the topic is about project cost management from tender to contract management and variations, and then we will figure out a bit more from that point on. About us, who is NTI? It's one of the largest Autodesk Platinum partners in the world. We are really hugely based in Europe, and we are expanding continuously. As you can see, we have close to 900 people in the company. And we are also right now, as you already know, we are part of Ireland as well. As you can see, we are part of the Nordics, and also we are in Brazil lately, expanding in that area, as well as in Iceland and towards the south of Europe. I'm still waiting for my home country to get one, which is Romania. So about NTI DIT, we have 4 locations in Ireland and UK, over 40 employees, and you have my colleague there in the room, Jonathan. At least raise your hand. I can't see anybody, so raise your hand. People will come and talk to you because I don't want to spend that much time on these ones. But we are handling GSM infrastructure, a lot of automation when it comes to combination of the softwares, which I will explain a bit later today into detail, and also construction and BIM and media and entertainment. The values that we stand for, we have our mission, our vision, and the will in order everything leads to the happy client, happy life, how I call it, at least on the professional side, so to say. So we are engaged to help you from the beginning towards the end to reach your goals that you have defined, and in case you have not defined them, we are there with you to define them together as a team. Who am I? I'm Romanian, I'm based in Copenhagen, and I'm involved in projects all over Europe. I do travel a lot. I would have loved to be there on site, but to be honest, travel kind of caught me up, and I needed some time on my own place, which I don't know how to use anymore lately because of my travels. I work in NTI Denmark as a BIM consultant and project manager, working with ACC a lot, everything that comes with digitalization, ISO 9001, ISO 19650. I'm also one of the co-founders of Building Smart Romania. Sometimes I'm a bit more involved into their work, sometimes I'm not that much involved into that. I'm involved in some project, as I said, passive and active sometimes, in the building permit project in Denmark. Also working with BIM Initiative Dictionary in Romania to streamline that information. And what I want to let you know, because I always base everything that I do around this one, my favorite quote is, and what I guide myself more or less after, is value loyalty above all else. Now, I'll just get straight into that and really get the jinx and actually mention this one. From my point of view and from the industry point of view, the pillars of integrated process design, or for BIM, it's the policies, people, technologies, and processes. And I will also like to add policies. Why? Because we need certain and direct and clear project guidelines, standards, and also deliverables, structured deliverables. And why am I kind of relating to that? Is because later I would like to give you some points on cost management, but also on standards. We have the FIDIC type of contracts. We have different type of contracts, design, bid, build, and so on. So many iteratives that it just, so many things can get wrong, and I've seen them get wrong, that we need certain guidelines and clear guidelines. And also today I'm also going to focus on the technology as well, and I'm just going to get into the software that we are working with, Autodesk Construction Cloud, and show you a bit how to handle the budget, cost, and variations towards forecasting. Now the next point into that, I just want to give you a bit of an understanding about cost management and ACC. So Autodesk Construction Cloud has what it calls one of the modules is called Build. And build also is connected to the documentation management, where you can store all your information, collaborate internally and externally, go through approval processes according to ISO 19650, then prepare that information, go to site with whatever B model, depending how developed you are, or sheets, construction drawings, and then from there have RFIs, issues, schedule, minutes of meetings, as you can see, quality forms, quality assurance, tender documentation, and so on. And at the same time, running a parallel or in a sequence, depending on how you run your projects, we will have what is called cost management. So you will see that you can handle the budgets, the costs that you have, change orders, applications to get your money, and also forecasting. With that information, this is kind of streamlines that into just one slide. And going a bit forward, I just want to show you a broad idea of how this is handled. What I want you to understand exactly, and this is a free consultancy point that I'm giving you right now, at least on ACC. I'm also joking, so let's keep it slightly loosened up. We have what is called here the middle. I want to call this one the middle, upstream and then downstream. Of course, you'll have your budget, which can be your tender. You'll have your contracts downstream, and then you might get a lot of potential change orders. Call them variations, call them claims, whatever you want, you can do that. That will actually be either as a standalone or kind of related to, as I said before, from the construction steps with either an issue on the drawing, saying that, I don't know, the concrete has not been poured correctly, or an RFI, I don't know, do we change the color of the room and so on, that hasn't been solved, and that leads into a change order, change or variations, change of time, extra money, and so on. And also upstream, because you would like to talk to your owner in a way, right? So you want to, at one point when you get some change orders that you feel that they are not your responsibility to pay, you'll move them up in order to be paid by the owner. Could be out of scope, so to say, and then you'll just pay the downstream in order to keep everybody happy on that. After that, we will have the cost payment applications, the forecasting, and the actual costs that you have on that project, specifically with your downstream, and then we can look upstream as well. Now, what do we do in NTI and how we can support you and the whole idea of the work? So everything can start from the EIRs and the BEP that you have, going to the tender, into the design processes. Then I would like to define it in ACC, at least working with a tool, as project management and BIM management. What do I mean by project management here is that during the design processes you can deliver packages of information from one discipline to another, and in that way you streamline the process of sharing and collaborating. That, from my point of view, is project management. Then we can also look into the BIM management. So we have the federated model, we run the checks, we look into the specific, more or less like the object tables, do they have the right property, the data that the previous two speakers have been talking about. That is one of the most important parts. And then export those back into the design software as BCF. Hopefully you do that. If not, we should definitely discuss about it. So that's a way to collaborate information from the checking softwares directly to the design softwares in a fast way instead of sending a PDF or an Excel file. Then RFI workflows on the site to control what has been designed, combined or correlated to, does it really happen like that on the site? And then budgets and trends of that, contract and variation management, and after that, you will see in a second, automation and connecting to other software, execution, facility management, and so on. Now, the last slide that I have before I get into the software, I kind of want to let you know, because we also talk about the data. So hopefully everybody will have BIM models. But BIM models, not just a geometrical representation, but at least have some data that you know you will be using in the future, right? After that, create the quantities from those BIM models, right? The schedule of the schedule of information. Create your estimations to kind of think how much will that cost. Then with our softwares, but of course this is just our softwares. There are so many others as well. You can go towards the tender process to assign that to different suppliers that you have, or also to different subcontractors. Then take that information and combine it and connect it to the contract and budget inside of ACC. Use the NTI integrator in order to connect that to the ERP solutions. Before I get into the software, what I want to let you know is that ACC does not pay the bills. ACC facilitates the calculations of contracts, budgets, payment application, variations, and allow the project teams from the site and also the management to get into an easy-to-understand software. Think about it. Have you ever had a chance to get into an ERP system? Would you like to have the chance to get into the ERP system and run everything there? I maybe would not like to do that because it's really, really complicated. So that's why the ERP system will pay the bills and the invoices and purchase orders and so on based on the calculation from ACC. ACC communicates to the ERP system and the ERP back to the ACC in order to represent the actual cost that we do have. That's why we try to kind of have this one as two different parts. Why? Because maybe the site manager really doesn't want to get into the ERP system and look at that whole setup that you have in there. And they are also sometimes not that easy to work with. Good. I'm just going to get into the software. So, what I'm presenting you here, when you see at least this part of the logo, is from the point of view of the middle representation, right? So what I do see here is that I have a budget and I have a cost. The budget is the money coming into my pocket. The cost is money going out of my pocket. As you can see here, the arrows. When I look at the variance that is between them at the end, I call that happy holidays. So that's your profit in order to enjoy the summer is coming, right? As Jon Snow said, winter is coming. So, how do we handle these ones? As you can see here, in my budget, because I have an owner, I have an upstream, right? These budgets represent maybe the tender that I won the contract with. Those were the points that I bid it towards to, and I won them with this amount of money on the budget based on the tender won from the client. What are these budget codes represent? Well, in order to connect to the ERP system and to have a really good structure, you need a work breakdown structure, and I've seen that in the previous presentation as well, really good points. You need to understand how to connect the data. And one of the ways that I can do that with having a really good work breakdown structure, based on the budget code segments that I have in here, I can classify them based on different things. For example, under type. And I can see how much money do I get on fees, how much money do I get on materials, how much money do I get on subs from my owners in the budget part. Then I can also see each and every line that I have linked to money going out of my pocket. So money comes in, money goes out. As you can see, I've been kind of really nice on this example that I have here. The money that comes in also goes out of my pocket, so I'm not making that much profit on that. But in other words, I'm connecting that on the life cycle of the project, right? So the data is there. Let me show you that when I click on that line of budget that I do have, it shows me that it's already connected to a contract with my owner. It has a description, has these budget code segments, has also information, is it connected already to supplier? Yes or no? I can add references from the other parts of the modules that I do have in here, which is build, docs, or the design part, in case you have that license for. And I can connect this one with the data that I do want to have be visible in a really nice manner on the site. At the same time, when I look at the upstream contract, I can see that based on those lines of budget, I have combined this one with the owner into a contract. So you can see that's the total value that I do have with my owner. That's the money coming into my pocket. Of course, I can also, at the end of the month, based on the billing period that I create for that contract with the owner, I can request the payment to be made towards my company based on the tasks that I have done. How is that usually working? Is that you will have a this period area which takes into account the previous one if you did have that, and then you just put there either the percentage, let's say 80% I've done this month, or the amount of money. Now a question you'll have, what if I work with quantities and units? No problem, just one click away, you'll change that and you'll have it in your hand. You will send that up to the owner, and then you can also work with them in order to approve it. So for example, as you can see in here, I can submit that to the owner, I can approve it as well that it's been done, and I can also send back and forth. So collaboration is at the base of everything when it comes to this area. Let's look into the cost part. How did I get to these contracts? Well, each and every contract from here, it's connected to the budget lines that I showed you before. Let's open the concrete package. Clicking on here, I can see that on the budgets, these are the budgets that pour money into this contract with my subcontractor or supplier. Could be one, could be how many you want. As you can see, one click away just brings me directly to the data that I have, and I can compare it, what comes in, what goes out. I can then go back to the contract name, open that, and figure out what is the information. For each and every line into here, for each and every data, you can add more data that you can use afterwards to predefine future projects based on the past that you have. I call that AI, but I don't know, maybe yes, maybe not. One of the nice things into here is that you will be able to see when you create a line of contract and a line of budget, the budget that has been allocated into that, how much money you have on that budget, and how much money you're actually putting on this contract with that specific supplier. Why am I still having a lot of money left? It's because one budget line, I can assign it to how many contractors and suppliers and subcontractors I do want. So it's actually mirroring everything that you want in the business part. I can also apply taxes if I want to. So calculation, mathematical calculation on the taxes. At the same time, let's say that metadata, it's not the only way that you go. I can generate, based on templates that I add in here, contracts, documentation, that it's on change order, that it's on budgets, that it's on main contracts with the owner, on cost contracts, on payment applications. You name it, we can do that. So everything will be able to be extracted into the data over here. Now, one of the most important parts in this area is that this one works with the live data. So if I would change something in this area and regenerate that document, let's see here, I'll just go with this one. Hopefully it's not going to give me any errors. There we go. And I'm just going to regenerate. That contract will be repopulated with the right data and will also be saved. This is a version 2. And let me show you the magic in a moment. There's the rabbit out of the hat. I should have here a version 3. If not, I'll look silly, but that's fine. There we go, V3. And there we go, that's the number, that's the data that has been changed like that. And I've been in situations where a lot of people saying, yeah, but we are used with Excel files and so on. Fair enough, that works so far. But when will it burn enough in order for you to start to make better decisions or look into the future? That's always something that I try to relate. So also what you can see here, the contracts, I can assign those and connect them to the schedule activities that I do have in the other module. Now, what I want to show you, I'll just jump into the change orders. So I'm going to show you from the perspective of a subcontractor. As you can see, the information has been changed here. They do not have access to the budget, so they only see what they make and the change orders. It's pretty easy. Just click here, select the contract that you wanted to append it to, select the budget line, start it, and say, I need more money because coffee is expensive. You'll just finish this one. You add the data into here as a schedule change, and as you can see, I need to put here the amount. There you go, the amount is done. So I just submitted that from the sub submits that to the person or to the company in the middle. That comes into the software here. I just need to refresh the data. And then with that information, then I can push it upstream or downstream. It depends. Should I pay it? Should the owner pay it? Or do I pay it from my profit, or should the owner pay it? And as you can see, this will run into the owner analysis or internal upstream analysis, formal downstream analysis as well. And that will also be connected to what you have as cost payment application. When a cost payment application is created, it's the same as the budget one. When you will want to fill in the data, send it upstream to the upstream that you have. You're either in the middle or you're really at the downstream, and then you have your top, which is GC or your owner, and collaborate with different comments on it. All this data is connected to the ERP system, or can be connected to the ERP system to pull information left and right from these areas. In the last minute that I do have, because I don't want to keep you over the time, I just want to show you the information about forecasting. The forecasting allows you to connect the cost and the time in different ways of looking into that. As you can see, I can look into the in concrete and C2 and then create the forecasting of that cost and time. And I can also look at the cash flow information that I have as an actual cost that I have in here, and see the charts continuously. And I can have different information based on the data that I do place in. One thing that I want to show you is that, coming back to the change orders, because that's one of the most important parts, is that when I go to the references, of course I can reference an issue existing in order for me to be able to analyze if I should definitely pay this one or not, and a completion form that has been done on that week or month by my site engineer. And in this way, I can decide to really just reject that, rejected, not paid, and there you go. That's your full rejection into that. The last thing is that you will say, oh, that's too much data. I don't want to see that in the ERP system. I would just want to see it in really nice and easy graphics into here. No problem. We can pull that data in a really nice manner into different Power BI dashboards, straight to the point. And let me show you the cost ones, because that's what we actually talk about today. The cost ones, it's either per the level of the project or per the level. I always make that joke. Hopefully nobody's a director in the room. Don't kick my, don't kick me. Towards all the projects in the process where the director sits on the leisure chair and just enjoys a warm cup of coffee and sees my money coming into my pocket, money going out of my pocket. There's my new Lamborghini to be made over there. So these data can be pulled in automatically and generated daily with the right data. I think that's my time, and I definitely want to respect your time as well. So with this one, I really want to say thank you and to ask if you have any questions.